Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby, and this video is going to be a quick one to show you all of the new HD models that have been released in the latest versions of the test server. A few of you asked as well, can you show us the non-premium, the standard garage, and the premium garage? So here you go. Have a good look around what will be your standard garage. Now let's buy some premium time and show you what the premium garage looks like. Of course, if you prefer one or the other, there will be ways for you to use that garage irrelevant of your account status. Very conveniently, Wargaming have put this light here so that we can really have a look at what the new HD models look like on the tanks. And right now you are looking at the Tortoise. Just the level of detail on this model makes it look incredible. Every time I look at the tank, I keep seeing new things that my eyes will focus on, and that was totally not the case in the 8.11 model of this tank. Again, just another word that if you're worried about the effects that these HD models might have on your computer, well, personally for me, I found that my FPS has been the same, or it's actually slightly gone up with the improvements that Wargaming have made to the rendering system and I think also the lighting system. Also, you're still going to be able to turn off the high detailed graphical settings. So don't worry, just because they're enabling people with premium setups to have a look at these lovely graphics, they're not going to force them on you, especially if, for example, you're using a laptop to play World of Tanks. As an example, I just turned all the graphics to minimum here, and this is what you're going to be probably looking at. My FPS is completely liquid now, it must be up in the hundreds. And I don't have something to compare it to, but this doesn't look too bad for running the game on minimum settings. So in the last video, I will have shown you 3 HD tanks. That was the T-54, the Tiger, and the M4. Since then, I believe there have been 5 new tanks released on the test server in HD. But don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. The first one is the Tortoise. Has to be one of the best looking tanks in the game. We have the Centurion 7-1, and when I looked at this, I started to fall in love with it again. I love the damage down the side of the tank. I love the intricate work on the top of the tank. I love what I think are smoke launchers on the sides. The grating at the back looks awesome. It really is fantastic. The Hellcat is now in HD. One of my favorite tanks, and I'm sure a lot of you love the Hellcat, especially with the upcoming historical battle modes. One thing I've definitely noticed, the new lighting make these angles look even more prominent. And these tracks just look awesome. Here's the M103 in HD for all you lovers of American heavy tanks. Zooming fully out, the tracks have never looked better. It's going to be very different aiming at these tanks when you're used to the old models. Here is the new Panther in HD. Again, all of the guns have still got the rifling effect. I know there's a little bit of clipping there, but I wanted to get a zoom in for you. Panther is indeed a sexy looking tank, and I know just as many people started World of Tanks because of the Panther as they did for the Tiger. And for all of you Panther lovers out there, you have been rewarded with a real treat with this model. And finally, looking at the biggest tank in the game, the one, the only, the legendary Mouse. Looking down the barrel of this gun, absolute fearsome beast. Again, absolutely love the rifling work that they've done. And on the Mouse, it probably looks the best because for some reason they've got a limited amount of zoom in. It allows you to get to the perfect angle for the Mouse. The attention to detail just all over the model is simply incredible. It just looks like this tank has been welded together. One thing that's impressed me is that if you look at the mantlet, it's so uneven. It makes you really feel that this is the prototype kind of tank that they were trying to develop. I just love this unevenness and the look of the metal. The metal work looks fantastic. And for all of you people who maybe think, oh, I don't really like playing my Mouse because everyone just shoots premium rounds at me. Well, at least you're gonna look good as they put gigantic holes in your tank. Now, when you look at these tanks for enough, you sort of just think, well, this is what I like, and this is the standard. But no, you really, when you get off the test server and you go back to 8.11, you really can tell the differences. And so I'm just going to do some befores and afters for you guys on the tanks that I have in my garage on 8.11, so you can really get an idea of the differences. So here is the T-54 B4. The T-54 model. But where's the log? Here is the Centurion 7-1 before. And here is the 9.0 Centurion 7-1. Here is the Tiger tank before. A slight improvement on the Tiger being in HD. Here is the M103 in patch 8.11. The 9.0 M103. Here is the biggest tank in the game, the Mouse, in patch 8.11. And here is the Hellcat in 8.11. Here is the 9.0 Hellcat. And finally, the difference in the Mouse. So I thought I would give you guys just some extra content of in-game graphics. Been talking about the graphics in the garage a lot. Let's take a look at how these HD models look up close. So this is that Tortoise model. Remember, I'm rendering this and that YouTube have limited quality that you can upload at. And so really the graphics are going to look better when you see this in-game, rather than when you're watching me play it and then render it myself. Don't worry, you can turn all these smoke effects off just like you would do otherwise. Getting shot at in the side by a gigantic tank line over here. Tortoise is one of the highest DPM tanks in the game, and so if you can get into situations like this, you can really have some fun with your enemies. So now I'm just going to show you what the Tortoise looks like while it's going over the tracks. We can see each of those sprockets acting individually. There is still some clipping with the actual rail. But when the Tortoise actually goes over the hard surfaces, such as these little dips over the concrete, you can see the game does a fantastic job of modeling the tracks individually, giving it a very fluid looking performance. And there you have it. There's the Tortoise and the upcoming HD model that will be arriving in 9.0. World of Tanks has never looked more beautiful. Now that you're done looking at the eye candy, I'd like to just discuss these HD models and how they're being implemented by Wargaming. Now, as far as I'm aware, these are the 9 HD tank models that are currently on the test server. Maybe there are more and I just don't know about them, and if that's the case, I apologize. But if it is the case that there are only 9 HD tanks currently, I'm very interested how many Wargaming have got up their sleeve. I can understand that these obviously require a huge amount of work to implement into the game, and they want to release 9.0 for the kind of the graphical update to World of Tanks. However, let's presume, just for what we know, that there are only going to be these 9 HD tanks in the game. Now, don't get me wrong, the changes to the lighting and the shaders make even the old tanks look simply incredible now in 9.0, such as this Super Pershing. But really, they don't quite compare to the HD impressiveness that you get on the 9 tanks that we're talking about. I know that some people could argue that maybe they should just wait until they've done all the tanks. So I think that there's 2 arguments that you can take. Well, we know that these take a long time to do. So is it better that they release what they have done and then slowly roll out them as they do more and more models? Or would we rather that they kind of waited and then gave us a huge block of them in one go? I guess it's just in the eye of the beholder. I don't see there being a problem with them slowly releasing them. As long as, for example, the HD models don't impact on the gameplay or the performance of your computer. What happened, for example, if we saw 30 mouses all on the battlefield together? Is that going to cause significant computer problems as every tank on the battlefield is going to be in HD? I'd also like to say that there have been a couple of changes to the historical game mode. One is that the Jagdtiger has been removed from the Battle of Balaton. It's that kind of ridiculous ruffle stomping that you saw in a video I think I released a couple of weeks ago won't be happening. And for all good reason, because I did feel like a bit of almost a tank god when I was a Jagdtiger versus ISs in an SU-100. It wouldn't have been very fair at all. I'm very interested to see how the historical battles will pan out on the live server. When people realize that they have to play a Hellcat with a 76mm and that it might actually be preferable to take a Jackson. Because the Jackson, i.e. the M36 Slugger, gets the 90mm in the historical battles. And that makes it a lot more competitive with the Panther and the Tiger II, as an example. I have actually been playing the SU-76 in some historical battles. I managed to ammo rack a Panther and pull off something silly like 4,000 spotting damage. So I'm looking for those kind of battles which you can have all the odds against you, and then that allows you to do something, you know, really impressive. That's why I've rebought the SU-76 on the main server, and I will be playing it in the new historical battle game mode. There is going to be that opportunity for a challenge, and just to see something a little different. But my main concerns are, have they actually managed to get the balance in this game mode yet? And my main worry is that the Germans, if they're played by skilled people, will be able to dominate. I think the tier advantage is just too significant, and if you put the average KV-1S driver against the average Tiger driver, not really going to be an even fight. There's just so many ways that it can go, and that's why I'm kind of holding back my full opinion until I play like 100 games in the historical battles on the live server. I'm just worried because, let's be honest, the confrontation game mode was garbage. It was awful. I think it was something they just put in for the sake of putting it in, and maybe to try and get some data on, you know, the balancing between the different nations. I actually turned Assault back on when I turned Confrontation off because I wanted that extra variety in the game, but I didn't want it to come at the cost of, you know, having to play an unbalanced game mode. I know this historical battles won't affect your stats, and it won't really appear in your service record, so to say, outside of the historical battle tab, as you can see here. So it's nice that Wargaming are thinking that you can literally play this mode individually, and maybe you can try and strive to become the best historical battle mode player of all time, irrelevant of your team battles and your random / tank company battles. I know a lot of people have been thinking about the fact that they're kind of drip feeding us this content. And I think there's a lot of confusion in the ASAP videos that they've been releasing. They've been showing, you know, the Havoc engine, which is completely different to what they're releasing with the HD models in 9.0. I think a large percentage of the World of Tanks population believe that the full physics implementation is coming in 9.0, that you're going to be able to flip your tanks over, that you're going to be able to knock down walls and the bricks are going to fall individually. That's not the case. We're looking at that, you know, up to several patches down the line. Do I think that 9.0 justifies that big 9.0? And what I'm talking about is that if you think about 8.0, it was amazing. They released the whole of the British line. They added all of the physics into the game. It was a ridiculous patch. And what are we really getting in 9.0? We're getting the historical battle mode. We're getting, at the moment, as far as we're aware, 9 HD tanks, albeit that we're getting huge improvements in the rendering system of all the other tanks. And probably, my favorite, the map changes. The changes they've made to the 4 of the maps are going to really change the playstyles on them, and they're going to make them hopefully more progressive. And it's going to be very interesting to see how 9.x develops leading up to the Havoc engine, which might have significant impacts on the gameplay. You're going to have to be very careful about rolling your tank when that comes about. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was just to show you all of the new HD tanks and also to discuss a few of the other patches and try and round everything up. If you're interested in any of the other aspects of the 9.0 patch, I have released videos on them, so think about checking them out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic. and hopefully I'll see you soon.